Hey everybody, how's it going? Let's talk about your home recording studio. Today, I want to take a look at another super duper cheap microphone. This time, we have a BM-800. I picked this up off of Amazon for $18. Pretty much an unheard of price for a condenser, a large diaphragm condenser microphone. I'm really curious. I don't know what to expect. I've never used one before. I've seen a couple of reviews. I guess I have some preconceived notions, but I really don't know what to expect from this thing. I figured we would take a look at this and compare it against a few other microphones. So let's see if the BM-800, this particular BM-800 is from Zingyou or Zingyou. They spell it Y-O-U. I'm gonna go with Zingyou. And let's unbox this thing here and let's see what we're dealing with. Okay, hey, I have to give them an A+ for packaging. They managed to fit everything in here where it looks like it's all safe and sound. We get an XLR to 3.5mm. Now I made the mistake when I reviewed the NW-800 of saying that that means that you couldn't phantom power it, but the NW-800 would run off of the, 3 volt or 5 volt from the microphone input on a PC or a laptop. I'm not sure if the same is true for this thing. We can give it a try and see. I just can't really highly recommend you try to use a condenser microphone with a 3.5mm. I would highly recommend use XLR to XLR into an audio interface. You can get proper 48 volts of phantom power and not have to worry about it. We also get a shock mount. This is one thing that the cheap mics have actually gotten pretty right. And honestly was the best thing about the NW-700. It looks like this one uses almost exactly the same shock mount. And it's one of these spring-loaded kind of fellas, which I actually like. They may not be the most secure thing in the world, but it sure is easy to get your microphone in and out of it without having to deal with thumb screws or weird locking mechanisms or anything. A little bit of foam in there to give it a little bit of friction to grab onto the mic. That's good. You know, it feels okay, all in all. What else do we get in the box? We get a foam windscreen, which, you know, that can come in handy. It's not going to be quite as good as a pop filter. And then we get the mic itself. Let's get this pesky box out of the way. And this looks and feels quite similar to the NW-800. It is very light for a microphone. I'm used to condenser microphones having a little bit of heft to them. Usually you pick up or even a dynamic mic. Usually you pick it up and you can just feel the weight in your hand. This is very light. It has the Zingyou branding on it, the model number, and that's it. So there's no pad switch, no low cut switch, no multi-patterns or anything. And for $18, I don't think I would expect anything more. It does have an XLR input on the bottom, and it's got actually a pretty good looking grill. It looks like there's a couple of layers here. So we have an outer layer that's kind of a coarse grill. Looks like there's an underlayment there that's just a finer mesh grill. Something is rattling. I'm not sure what it is. Something in here is rattling. That's not a good sign. And hey, I think to disassemble it, I think it's just a matter of, yeah, there it is. We unscrew from down here. Let's see if we can figure out what's rattling around in here. So we take that ring off. We can slide off this guy, it looks like, all right. And yeah, I don't hear anything in here rattling, but my goodness, what a simple circuit. There's some little surface mount things here. It must have been this brass ring that was rattling. All right, let's put it back together. Let's plug it in. Let's take a listen. Yeah, it's the brass ring. That's what's rattling. Okay. And just for comparison's sake, here is the Neewer NW-800, and here it is next to the Zingyou BM-800. Yeah, pretty similar in size, shape, weight. Yeah, they both have that. I think I read that these use like a zinc alloy body, and that's why they're so light. But of course, there's also no transformer or anything inside, as far as I can tell. The shock mounts for the two of them are nearly identical. The Neewer one has just a little bit more weight to it, and that's just about it. Okay, let's plug these two in, and let's listen to them side by side. And I got a couple other microphones from my mic collection waiting in the wings, a couple other large diaphragm condensers at substantially higher price points than these. As I'm getting the shock mounts mounted here, one thing that is worth noting is the Zingyou, the BM-800, did not come with a 3/8 to 5/8 inch thread adapter, while the Neewer did. On both of these, it is worth mentioning the logo, the brand name logo, is the front side of the mic. That's the side you want to speak into or sing into. These are not end address mics, and you don't want to speak into the rear of it, since these are both cardioid pattern, single pattern mics. They're most sensitive from the front, and if you speak into the rear, it's going to sound pretty terrible. Oh, and just to show you, the cables that I'm using for all of these mics are just your standard XLR female to XLR male. I don't think I'm going to bother with the XLR to 3.5 millimeter. This channel is all about making music at home, and if you're buying a microphone like this with the hopes of making music, you're going to be best served to get an audio interface that has XLR inputs on it. There's some super affordable ones out there. You can use these with the 3.5 millimeter cable into the mic input of your PC, but I had very poor luck doing that. You can buy independent phantom power supplies and plug them in that way. Honestly, at that point, if you're going to spend the $20 or $30 on a phantom power supply, you might as well, just lump in another 20 bucks or so and get a Behringer UMC 22 or an M-Audio M-Track or something for 50 bucks. It'd be well worth it in the long run to get an audio interface. Use XLR to XLR. It's going to improve your whole experience. Okay, got everything plugged in here. All of the microphones that I'll be speaking through are all plugged into the same audio interface, same preamps, using the same cables. So it should be a pretty level playing field here. Okay, here we are, speaking into the BM-800. I'm going to need to turn up my headphones a little bit. Test, 1, 2, test, 1, 2. Okay, there we go. I don't have a pop filter in front of this thing, so I'll try not to just breathe into it and blow up some P's and B's. But I can hear what it sounds like. Honestly, that doesn't sound half bad. It sounds like it has an okay kind of high frequency lift to it. So it's, those kind of high frequency sibilant sounds. And let's check out like proximity effect. I'm going to get really close to it, speak a little bit more softly, but if I get super close to it, not a whole lot of low frequency there that it's picking up. And if I get like, right in front of it here, yeah, I guess it is picking up a good amount of low frequency. I was kind of off to the side to keep from blowing into it, but if I get directly in front of it, yeah, that doesn't sound half bad considering it's an $18 microphone. Let's listen to the NW-800. I'll have to remind myself of why I hate it so much. Okay, here we go. This is the NW-800. Oh yeah, I can just immediately tell that the high frequency response of this microphone is substantially less than it was on the BM-800. So it's those sibilant sounds are definitely not nearly as pronounced. I get a little bit farther away from it. I was really close to it. Up nice and close and get a little bit of proximity effect, but it still doesn't pick up a whole lot of lows. At a more kind of normal distance. Normally with a condenser microphone, unless you're going for that, radio announcer, super boomy kind of proximity effect kind of voice, I'd stay about 8 to 10 inches away from it or so. And at that distance, yeah, I can just tell like the high frequency detail is just not there on the NW-800. It's just kind of all mids to me. Let's go back to the BM-800. So to compare again, yeah, this is, sorry, I keep puffing into it. Actually, I'm going to go get a pop filter. I'll be right back. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. So I can already tell, like just the high frequency detail of this one, substantially more pronounced. It doesn't sound like super harsh. I mean, I at least not as harsh as I thought it would. That's kind of one of those preconceived notions of mine, is a lot of these Chinese branded microphones tend to overhype the high frequencies. And, it's pretty pronounced on this one. And I guess I'll know more once I'm editing this in post and listen back to it without, speaking at the same time. But honestly, that doesn't sound half bad. There's something kind of funky going on in the mid-range. Let's go back to the NW-800 and listen to that real quick. with the pop filter this time, yeah, it's just so much darker. The mid-range character is a lot different too. Like the mids don't sound bad so much on this one to me, but the mids are kind of all there is to the sound of it. Yeah, still not a fan, and I might use this mic as like a special effect microphone sometimes. All right, very interesting. So I've got a couple other microphones here, and let's take a quick listen to those and see what you might be getting if you're spending a little bit more money, or actually a lot more money on microphones. Let's check them out. And so this is the Lewitt LCT 440, and it's kind of scooted out of frame here. I don't have enough room for all of these. But I can just immediately tell, even monitoring myself, which is kind of tough in real time to be objective, but I can already tell like there's a lot more low end, there's a lot more just kind of detail in general. And through these headphones monitoring in real time, it even sounds, so there's no EQ, no compression or anything. It even sounds just a little boomy. And as we get like super close, you get that proximity effect in there, and it's pretty pronounced on that microphone, so, get a more reasonable distance away. This one has a pop filter in front of it already, so hopefully I'm not blowing your subwoofers and your headphones up this time. All right, let's take a quick listen. Let's take a quick listen to the C414. And I will stick a pop filter in front of here, so, again, like this one just about the same distance away, just has a nice kind of pleasant low end to it. This is the XLS, not the XL2, so it doesn't have the super pronounced high frequency lift, but I really enjoy this microphone for, spoken word. I think it's just, a nice kind of neutral-ish kind of sound, but, it is $1,000 microphone. It's not a cheap mic. But yeah, that sounds nice. Okay, now that I've listened to these two and kind of grounded myself, let's go back to the bottom end of the budget. Let's have another listen. All right, here we are again on the BM-800, and yeah, I can really tell now after listening to those other microphones that it has just kind of a different mid-range. The mid-range just sounds a little kooky to me. I don't think it's a very flattering sounding microphone, but for an $18 microphone, that doesn't sound horrible. It could sound way worse, honestly. Let's listen to the Neewer again. And here we are, and yeah, even though this thing is all mid-range, the mids still sound weird to me. I don't like them still. I am now reminded of how much I don't like this microphone. And as you can hear, depending on what you're listening on, you wouldn't want the vocals or the acoustic guitar or the drums or something in your song sounding like this on every track, maybe just as a special effect. And again, on the BM-800, I mean, there's just so much more detail here than there was on the NW-800. Honestly, I would try it. I would try it on vocals on a track and just kind of see how it comes out. I think you could do worse. I don't think it sounds amazing or anything, but at this price point, who would expect amazing? And climbing back up the price chain here on the LCT 440, it's just a pleasant sounding mic. I think it sounds good on spoken word. And again, on the AKG C414, this is just one of my all-time favorite microphones. It's one of my very favorite microphones that I own. So we listened to 4 microphones at kind of wildly different price points. One for $18, one for about $25, one for $260, and one for $1,000. And you can definitely hear that there is a pretty pronounced difference between the pricier microphones and these, very, very entry-level budget microphones. But hey, if you're looking for your very first microphone, you could do worse than the BM-800. Like the NW-800, I think, is objectively worse sounding. I can't say that I like the BM-800, but it does surprise me for the price. For recording vocals in a home studio, I think that if you have $18 to spend, I would keep saving until you've got about 50 bucks. And I think still like the Behringer C1 is kind of like my low bar for a microphone I would be eager to use. And they cost about $50. It's kind of a noisy microphone, but the frequency response is pretty darn good on those things. And above $60, you get into all sorts of different options. If you can, get up to about $100 or so, there's new and used options all over the market of things that will smoke either of these, the Zingyou or the Neewer. But at $18, there's like nothing competing with this Zingyou with the BM-800. So this was interesting. I saw this just popped up on Amazon the other day and I couldn't resist. I'm looking forward to trying this thing out on a few other sources and kind of see, things like how loud of a source can it record before it just distorts and kind of craps out. All right, thanks so much for watching, everybody. That'll do it for me this time, and I'll see you guys again next time.